Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sport with some very, very interesting news. And that is that World Rugby could potentially be appealing the decision taken on Owen Farrell and instituting a new hearing conducted by World Rugby itself. So a very interesting development in the whole sort of Owen Farrell saga. And it'll be interesting to see what the final decision will be, as well as sort of what the process is going to be. And we talked about precedent. This is also going to be very interesting with regards to the precedent going into the World Cup. Before we sort of get into the nitty-gritty of exactly what's happened, what's not been happening, and what could happen, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right, so we heard yesterday that Owen Farrell's red card had officially been rescinded, which means that he was cleared and available to play this weekend. The independent review committee basically said that they felt the officials had made a mistake in the in giving a red card, and as a result, they decided that the decision to upgrade to a red card was wrong, and they therefore decided to have the red card rescinded. Now, this was done by an independent judicial committee that was sort of organized by sort of the Summer Nation series, based I think the Six Nations sort of body, a little bit like sort of SANZAR. You then got sort of the Six Nations and stuff like that. So it was not a hearing conducted by World Rugby. Now, World Rugby have the capacity and to appeal these sort of hearings if they feel that they've not reached the correct conclusion. So, for example, if a SANZAR committee makes a decision and World Rugby go, that's not correct, that's not quite against your that's not in line with the rules that we tell you guys have to play by, they have the right to then institute their own independent hearing. And apparently, that is what's going to happen with this. So the news has come out from Murray Kinsella, who's a very, very good journalist, writes for the 42, and very reputable, and really is often in the know. And he is quoted here saying, just a tweet earlier saying, hearing that World Rugby will appeal the Owen Farrell decision, no word on when the new hearing might take place, but presumably has to be before this weekend. This is a big moment for World Rugby. It's a huge moment for World Rugby, and it's a huge moment for rugby in general with regards to head contact, with regards to going into the World Cup, with regards to the precedent being sent, and in terms of what is constituted a dangerous tackle and what is not. Because I think we can all agree, and I think even English fans are coming out saying, how has he gotten away with that? Like, you know, they tried to sort of reference Jamie George, a bit of movement, but I think most people have basically gone and looked at that incident going, I don't agree. He should have gotten a red card. And his defense coach, the England defense coach, came out and said, it's one bad tackle out of 2,000. We're talking about a guy who's been banned for up to 10 weeks in total across 3 different bans, 4 high tackles and 4 dangerous tackles. So he wouldn't have been able to go to tackle school, for example, because he's already completed tackle school. So he is a repeat offender. And I looked at that tackle and I just couldn't find any mitigation. I was saying earlier on my live stream that I thought that the way it was handled by the officiating team was the perfect advert for how it should be handled with regards to the whole TMO bunker type thing, with regards to getting a yellow card, upgrading it to the red card. I was actually very impressed with how they handled it, and I thought that is actually a really good example of how things should be handled and how things can be handled. And to then have that red card rescinded by an independent judicial committee was very frustrating. And they also then said, we shouldn't be. They said the refs were wrong. In the statement, they said the refs were wrong, but we shouldn't criticize the refs. And you got to sort of sit there wondering, well, it's difficult not to criticize them when you're basically saying that they've gotten them wrong, as well as they're saying, the TMO didn't have enough time. But the TMO actually did have 5 to 6 minutes to make the decision, which doesn't sound like a lot of time, but it's far more time than traditionally you would have to sort of make these decisions. And that's why they've instituted this TMO bunker concept, where if there's foul play, you get a yellow card, and then they've got about 5 or 6 minutes to decide whether it's going to be a yellow card and they can come back on after 10 minutes, or whether you upgrade it to a red card and he goes off, which I think is a really good piece of innovation. So if World Rugby do then institute a proper formal hearing, first of all, obviously that will take precedent over the independent judicial committee that happened this week, and they'll be able to impose their own sort of hearing and then their own sanction. Now, if this actually happens, he will get banned. There's no doubt about it. You will not be... Because you're literally saying that the decision was wrong, that the decision that's been taken by the Independent Judicial Committee is wrong. Therefore, you are stepping in to right the wrong, which means he will receive a ban. If he does receive a ban, he's looking at a minimum of 6 weeks, which would rule him out of potentially the World Cup group stages and therefore potentially the World Cup itself. So it's a really big moment for World Rugby, and I think it's an important moment in that we've had this whole push for safety in player head contact, for example. We've had this big push towards, making sure that becomes a massive priority. That, for me, that decision yesterday just flies in the face of all that. I think for me it makes a bit of a mockery of the whole push, because I'm with the push. We've got to make this game safer. We've got to try and cut out head injuries, and a tackle like that is exactly what they're trying to prevent. So to not have any punishment on it is a really bad and a very worrying precedent going to the World Cup. So I think it's a very big moment for World Rugby to step in and right the wrongs of a judicial committee. A lot of people are very negative when it comes to World Rugby, and I've certainly had my issues with them as well. I think there's a lot of issues there that they need to rectify. But stepping in a situation like this to maintain the attitude that head contact is so important, we've got to get rid of it, for me, is a very important moment to reaffirm your stance and commit to what we're trying to do. So let me know what you think in the comments below. First of all, do you think World Rugby should step in? Are they right in stepping in? And if they do step in, what do you think would be an appropriate punishment for Owen Farrell? And do we actually maybe see him missing the World Cup as a result of this development? Obviously, there's nothing official yet, but as I said, a very reputable journalist is reporting it. And if there is the case, then surely there must be a hearing before this weekend, because at this stage he's free to play. And how can you then play a game and then have a hearing afterwards and then retrospectively ban him, which would be a bit problematic. So potentially could something happen tomorrow or Friday. So a lot of worrying days ahead for the England camp, and for the world of rugby fans. We kind of sit and wait to see exactly what World Rugby will do and whether they will in fact do anything. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen, and I'll chat to you soon.